doing so far? Awesome. You know, it's hard to believe that I'm listening to Darren earlier and I hear that 27 years. You know, I hear that number and sometimes it seems like yesterday, you know, 27 years. And we were 25 years with one company. And our story is very, very similar to a lot of the stories that you hear. Out of high school, I started my own business. I lost that business due to a bankruptcy and had an opportunity to get introduced to network marketing, and somebody offered to mentor us. And we joined that company and we stayed with that company for 25 years. Can you imagine 25 years? But also imagine this. Last October, 15 months ago, we get a phone call and the owners decided to close it with no notice. So, you know, it was one of those moments we never thought we would experience, but I have to thank God. I really do. All the glory and praise goes to God, because we had never heard of LifeVantage. And the company we were with was a wellness company. It was a supplement company, and we had never heard of you guys. We had never heard of Protandem. We'd never heard of NRF2. And it's like, how could we be full-time in the industry for 25 years and have never heard of you guys? And then we got a phone call from Dave Fleming. There he is over there, Dave. Have a give Dave a hand. Congratulate Dave on his promotion to Chinaman. It's awesome. But, you know, Dave said something to us. He said he wanted to talk to us about LifeVantage. And I said, well, I've never heard of it. And he said, yeah, but I know you in April. And he said, LifeVantage, I think, would be a good fit for you. And Dave ended up being the only person we talked to out of dozens and dozens of companies that were inquiring about would we possibly go with them. So I could talk forever about, you know, the whole story, and believe me, it is a God story. But what I want to talk to you about is the things that we've experienced being in the business. And Darren mentioned it earlier, you know, the value of staying new in the business. Now let me ask you, how many people here are fairly new in the business? Say less than 6 months, put your hands up. Okay, it's not a bad number, but how many have been in for at least a year? Raise your hand, if it's at least a year, okay? Have you ever gone through getting stale in the business? Have you ever felt like you got, you know, you were good in the beginning, it was exciting, but then all of a sudden you got a little bit stale? Am I the only one that ever felt that way? See, we go through that, you know, it's called life. And life happens, and sometimes we stop doing the things that got us to the top. So what I want to do, and this is based on experience, I want to share with you, as we stepped on landmines in our career, okay, what was it that got us back on track? And it always came back to the same thing. We had to go back to being new again. We had to get back to where we were when we started in the business. Can you relate to that? Yeah. I mean, can you remember when you were new? Were you ever more excited about the business than when you were new? But let me ask you this. Did you ever know less than when you were new? How many people did you say you were going to cure? How many people did you say you were going to make $1 zillion? I mean, just think. We knew nothing, yet it was the most fun, exciting time we ever had in the business. Okay, see, that's when you're effective. You're effective when you're excited, when you're enthusiastic, when you're passionate. That's when you're effective in the business. So we have to get back to doing what we did in the beginning. And that means, you know, being personally active in the business. See, when we leave here tomorrow, over the next, you know, 48 hours or whatever it is, I want you all to leave here new with a commitment to being producers and builders and not managers and overseers that Darren was. Did you get the hint from Darren when he was talking earlier? Okay, to go to the level we want to go, we need to become builders again. All of us, especially us with experience. If we have experience in the business, then we owe it to our teams. We owe it to the new people to show them that this is easier than they think it is. See, when you're new, it's easy. You got excuses, man. You can just say, I'm new. I didn't know any better. I can't imagine how crazy I sounded when I first talked to you. Okay? I mean, think about it. We've all been there. So we get the best results when we're new. Okay? And we have the best stories from when we're new. Okay, so when you think about that, why would you ever want to not be new in the business? But we dream big when we're new, okay? Anything's possible, right? We focus on our pains and our needs, our wants, our desires. You know, that's part of the equation. We set our goals for those things. You know, we do everything we can to help our team build the business. You know, I say there's like, obviously there's rules, okay? But I always said it was 24/7, 365, anything goes, you know, there's no rules. Well, the company has rules. I meant working with your team, the commitment of working with your team, anything goes. You did whatever it took in the business. We were compassionate, we were passionate, we were obsessed with building the business. Anyone ever been obsessed? Think about it, okay? Isn't it a cool feeling? Some people say that's negative, man. I want to live my life obsessed, okay? I mean, that's just the way I want to do it, you know? And nothing can stop you in the beginning when you're new in the business, okay? So let me ask you this. What can stop you from being new, okay? Well, Darren kind of covered it. He mentioned we can go into manager mode, overseer mode, or we can become Darth Vader or whatever that guy was, you know, that he put up there. But, you know, it can happen at any level. I've seen Pro 3s go into manager mode. See, it could happen at Pro 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. It doesn't matter. It can happen at any point, okay? Here's what really happens, though. We begin to take care of our pains and our needs. And that burn that we had in the beginning to get rid of those issues, those problems, they start to subside, they get handled, and the fire doesn't burn as hot as it was in the beginning. Can you relate to that? Yeah. See, it's hard to put yourself in a place when you're not there anymore. See, I'm saying go back to when you were new and when you were a recruiting machine. When you didn't think about who you talked to, you just shared it with everybody, okay? But all of a sudden, your pains and your needs and your wants, they start to disappear. So it's not as easy to do as it sounds, okay? You know, we stop doing the things that got us to the top. That's the bottom line, okay? We start resting on our laurels. We think we've arrived. I can tell you, I'm guilty of that. Okay, when you spend 25 years with one company and now the last 15 months here with LifeVantage, I've seen all of that, I've done all of that, my wife has done all of that. I guarantee you would be hard-pressed to do more things wrong than April and I have done in 27 years. But you know, in doing things wrong, we found out how to do some things right. And every time we had a problem, every time we got stale in the business, if we went back to basics, builder mode, okay, recruiting mode, sharing it with everybody, if we got back to that, you know what? Everything got fixed. Everything got better. So will you commit to that? Yeah. Will you commit to being new again in the business? You need to respond, folks. Will you do that? See, you know, what happens is, we got to be careful not to become historians in the business. Dave Fleming, thank you. Okay. You know, I love some of the terminology that I've learned here at LifeVantage, but you know, we got to be careful that we stay in real time. Okay, we want to stay relatable with our team members. You know, I want to be able to talk to a new team member, and when they're telling me somebody did something embarrassing with them, you know, somebody said something mean to them, somebody did something that hurt their feelings, I want to say, you think that's bad? listen to this one. Last night I was at so-and-so's house, and you're not going to believe what went on. And I can relate to them in real time. And then I got them thinking, well, my stories are new, they're fresh, I'm in real time, and they start looking at me as, okay, he's had success in the business, but he's still doing the things that he's asking me to do. Can you relate to that?
Yeah.
See, what we have in this business, people don't necessarily listen to what we say. They watch what we do. And if our actions don't match our words, they change the dial, folks. Okay, and they may not tell you that. It may not be something that they say, but we gotta walk and talk. We gotta be a living, walking, talking example of what we're asking them to do. And it's so important in this business that you do that, okay? That you live in real time. And every time we've ever gotten in a bind, April and I, and this, any time we ever did, if we went back to the beginning, it got fixed, okay? It always got fixed. If we stopped managing the team, or over-managing, or overreaching, you can call it whatever you want, and just started bringing new people into the business, it shows it's doable. It shows it's duplicatable. It shows it's real, okay? And that's the key to the business, okay? You just gotta stay current with the business, okay? You gotta stay in real time. Now, keep from a business building standpoint, folks, you know, if you look at the compensation plan and you start moving up through the ranks, you can make 7 figures in this business off of 3 lines, okay? And I know there's different philosophies on how many lines you should have in the business, but you know what? If I were new, I want to have a little margin for error. You know, I don't want all my eggs in one basket. You know, the old company that we were in, we had to have 7 active lines, and we had multiple businesses, so we were working with 14. So, you know, 3 is good, but why put all your eggs in just 1 or 2 baskets? So, you know, if you stay new, if you keep recruiting, you're going to give yourself margin for error, okay, with the business. And if something happens, if one of your team stalls out, if somebody needs to take a break for a little while, it's not going to infect how you get paid in the compensation plan, okay? And last but not least, it allows you to help people in your business through placement. You know, and I'm going to be the first to tell you this, I never place people under people who aren't doing anything. I reward the people who are doing with what the business April and I've done personally. And you know what? Not only can I support them, you know, verbally and on Zoom and phone and meetings, but maybe I can help them get over the hump with a rank advancement. You know, and you reward good behavior, okay? So these are 2 things that, you know, that we've learned in the business, okay? You're the new thing in the business. You know, fresh is good, man. Stale is bad. When I think stale, I think of leaving the bread out of the bag, okay? I mean, it's, you know, you want to stay fresh in this business. And I'm gonna close with this. Number 1, thank you for giving me your time and listening for a few minutes. I appreciate that. Woo! But I always said this to my son. My boys play baseball, and I used to always tell him when he would go to practice with the team, and I'd ask him, how did practice go? And he said, great. And I said, everyone do the same thing? He said, yeah, well, the pitchers did, the hitters did, the fielders did. I said, so everybody did exactly the same thing? He said, yeah. I said, so how are you going to get better than everybody out there if you're doing the exact same thing all the time? I said, what really matters, and this, I mean this to you in the business, the same way I meant it to him in baseball, what really matters is what you're doing when nobody's watching. That's the key to the business. Thank you. Appreciate it.